Ai kia ora e hoa koutou, haere mai ki te kōrero, ki te kāwanatanga ki te poneki. Ko Oscar toku ingoa. I'm here with Meg and Arthi. Kia ora Meg and Arthi.
Kia ora, Oscar, how are you?
Going well, thank you. I'm super excited for today. Thanks for coming and joining me today.
Thank you.
Meg, would you like to illustrate the instructions for the kōrero?
I would love to. So today we're going to do a cool round table discussion. We have 3 different questions to ask all of you. You will have 2 minutes exactly to answer, and we will be belling you if you go over time. You're going to get 1 bell when you have 30 seconds left to speak and 2 bells when you've finished your 2 minutes and you need to wrap it up. So make sure to be concise with your answers. Say the key things you need to say. We're so excited to hear from you today. I think Oscar's going to go ahead with our first question. We're going to ask probably back and forth across the rows, but just be ready to respond. No grabbings for the mics though, guys.
All right, for our first question, would you mind introducing yourself and saying why you're standing for this election? And we can start on the right-hand side if you like.
Kia ora koutou, my name's Aditi and I am running for Porirua City Council. I'm one of the youngest candidates running this year for Pautanui Gender Ward. I am standing this year because growing up, I didn't see people who look like myself in these decision-making tables, and that kind of hit me that why is it, and what is going to solve that? If not me, then who? So I'm standing just so people who come after me have someone to look up to, and yeah, that's me.
Kia ora.
Okay. I'm not the youngest, obviously, but the reason why I'm standing is because I experienced the life challenges. I'm a single mom, also a business analyst. I got the resilience, the skills, and also I lived the life challenges. And I also, as a justice peace candidate, so through my life experience, I learned how much struggle people are facing every day. For example, myself, to be here to participate in such event, I need to book a babysitter and who need to understand how neurodivergent child's high needs are, which not many people in society are available to the community. So that's why I designed a 2 system. One is helping people to uploading the skills into the platform to make themselves available to see by the community. And the other one is helping people to tracking down the council spendings to know where your money flows to. And I sort of thinking, why you have the skills, why don't you just make yourself valuable to the society and community? So that's the reason why I'm standing. Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you.
Kia ora. Kia ora koutou katoa. Ko Afnan Al-Rubayee toku ingoa, and I am proudly standing as a Labour candidate for the 2nd time in the Pukehīnau Lambton ward. And the big reason why I'm standing is because I believe in a Wellington that is built for everybody, which means communities shaping decisions rather than just responding to them. And I do believe that we absolutely can have a cohesive and functional council that works for the people. Ultimately, if you're an elected official, you owe it to the people to know how to govern their interests in the best way possible. And Wellington has been my home since 2003, and I love Wellington so much that I would love to give back in the best way that I know how. I've got governance and strategy skills, and throughout my private sector career, public sector career, throughout that whole time in my life experiences, I believe that I can bring those skills to the table to serve Wellingtonians that have made it home for me for the last over 20 years. I do feel a huge sense of duty to make sure that we are paving the way for future generations, to make sure that Wellington is affordable, that they're not pushed out because there's not enough opportunities or it's not affordable for them anymore. And I do want to grow old here, so I want to be a part of making Wellington the Wellington I want to see when I grow old here. So
Kia ora, thanks so much. An interesting panel already. And for our left-hand side, would you like to say your name and what brings you to the election?
Kia ora koutou. Ngā mihi nui ki o taimai ai kiko nei tēnei pō. My name's Geoff. I live in Titahi Bay with my partner Caroline and our dog Dalvanius Prime. When we first moved there was this big storm and our house almost flooded. Thankfully it didn't, but our neighbours weren't so lucky. And in the aftermath of that, you do what good neighbours or people in your community do. You try and clean up the damage, you bake scones, you make cups of tea. But I learnt two things on that occasion. One, no matter how strong a community or a whānau or a hapori is, you requires a council to step up. The second thing I learnt was what 40 years of underinvestment in water infrastructure means for someone like me and for people in my communities. So for me, every time I've gone into the council table, I've had to work with people who don't always agree with me or don't see the world the same way as me. But we are there united to get things done for our communities. And there's still so much to do. We still need to work hard on honouring a water charter that protects the water and allows people to feel like they will have access to it, and also to enhance te mana o te wai. We need to have a rubbish and recycling system that actually works, because we needed to divert it away from our landfill. We have not got enough time left now to keep cheaply dumping stuff in the landfill. We need a city that reflects the 21st century and not the 19th or the 20th century. We need to have also better rules around hiring and training local people. These are the things that I will stand and will focus on over the next 3 years, and more of that can be available on my website as well, geoffhayward.co.nz. But for me, I believe in a city that thrives for everyone. And I know that sometimes the voices of people who don't always get heard is part of the challenge of being around that table. I have never left there without anyone wondering about how I felt or reflecting back the concerns of people who are out there, their hopes, their challenges, and the consequences of the decisions that we make. If people put their vote in me, I can be their voice for the next 3 years. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora. Thank you.
Kia ora whānau. 3 years ago, Kodrian, the Voice of Aria, actually organised a similar candidates meeting, in that I asked for people to vote for me and what I will do. And today I will be reporting back, and I also tell you why I'm running and a little bit about myself as well. My name is Nureddin Abdurahman, currently a sitting councillor representing the Southern Ward, Paekawakawa. I was born in a small town called Jaji in Ethiopia. Came to New Zealand in 2008, 17 years ago. And currently I built a small business with my wife and a father of 3 kids. I call myself a soccer dad. That's my second religion. And things hasn't always been that way for me. When I first arrived, working in low-paid job, long hours, and even when I was studying at Victoria University, navigating through the system wasn't that easy for someone who just arrived and not having a mentor around you. So I get involved in the community spaces, and I saw some gaps, and that's how I started the leadership in the community space. And from there on, joined Labour Party about now like 14, 15 years ago. Little I know at the time, I would be running one day for election. For me at the time was just Annette King, my local MP, who helped me during my struggle. I just said, I want to volunteer for this person, because I saw politics working for ordinary people like me. And where I came from, that is not the reality to some extent. You have to have connection with people in power. So that's how I get involved, and I was lucky enough to be elected 3 years ago. And since then, I'm very glad I led the campaign to stop the sale of the airport share in Wellington Airport. And I also led and involved in stopping the Reading Cinema deal. And I voted against the town hall blowout, like $150 million. So I made a lot of progresses. I want to continue that.
Kia ora. Thank you so much. And for you?
Kia ora. Ano te pai te aho reka o te noho o ngā tainaminga tuakana I runga I te whakaro ko tahi tēnā koutou katoa. It's lovely to be here, so kia ora everybody. My name is Karen Morgan, and I am running for Mayor of Lower Hutt, and only Mayor. I'm only running for Mayor because I believe that I need to be in that position now to make real change happen. And so that's part of my drive, and serving people has always been what my life has been consumed with. So tonight I thought I'd touch on a couple of reasons. There's many reasons reasons why I want to be in that space, but a couple of reasons is one is around social cohesion. And I think after COVID, we've seen the impact still on so many levels of our community and how it's affecting them and impacting on their lives. And what's really important to me is reconnecting our people, rebuilding communities, how I used to know them when I grew up, where you knew your neighbours, you knew how to look after each other, you knew how to awhi one another, and you knew how to support. So I want to really build a culture of support and a culture of success in Hutt City and in Lower Hutt. One of my second other reasons is absolutely about putting people first, and I think that we've got so much going on with our infrastructure, with water, with all the changes that are happening. We can't lose sight of the well-being of our people in that space. It is so critical, and people mean everything. They are our taonga. They are such a vital piece. So for me, what's really important is actually hearing from our diverse voices, and I think right now we're not hearing enough from our rangatahi. We're not hearing from our 65 plus. We're not hearing from our disabilities, and we're not hearing from our 180 ethnicities that we have currently in the Hutt. So I want to connect. I want to go to where the people are. My campaign is totally grassroots, going to where the people are, being in their spaces, being where they feel safe. And I want to create a shared vision where everyone has input to their city, has ownership, so we can make it as the best place possible and ensure that those voices are truly heard. In respect to rangatahi, which I'll probably focus on tonight, you are the now, you are the future, you are talented, capable and highly intelligent. So talk soon. Thanks.
Well, kia ora koutou. Thank you all so much for all your mahi, all your effort, all your work in this space. We're all really grateful to have you working to support our city, and I can see why you're all running in this election. You're all really passionate about it, and you've all got a lot of really interesting things to say. Would you guys like to lead the next question?
Absolutely. So the next question is, what would be your top 3 priorities once you are elected?
Should we start on the right again?
Or should we switch it up? Yeah. Should we start with Geoff?
Save you guys a little time to think about it. There are lots of things. Unfortunately, there's about 14 different points that I put in the that we had in our manifesto for Labour. But I'll talk about 3 things which I think are really important for me. One is we are about to embark on all of our water services being delivered by an entity that is owned by councils but won't have the same level of day-to-day oversight that we've had in the past. And it's the consequence of 40 years of bad management. Now, if I had thought that the new entity was going to be the same as Wellington Water was, with the same level of mismanagement. And that's to say nothing of the quality and good work of people who are on the shovel every day doing the mahi of Wellington Water. But it is something going very wrong with the big decisions at the top of the table. And one of those issues is around transparency of the work that's being done, hiring local and training local, paying them fairly with a living wage, protecting the water from the tap to the drain and beyond, uplifting Te Mana o Te Wai. I didn't want to just wait and see whether or not the entity would get the point. What we did instead was make sure that we passed a water charter, and not just in Porirua where it was passed unanimously, but getting on the blower and talking to our colleagues up in Upper Hutt, in Wellington City, in Hutt City as well, to make sure that that was in place. The job now is to honour the water charter. I talked before about the rubbish as well, which is so very important because we are not going to have the same kind of long-term resource consents when it comes to a landfill like we have in Spicer Landfill. The people in Tawa who don't live in Porirua City Council also need to make sure that the quality of the landfill is being met, because there's a lot of noxious fumes that are out of there. We can do that right now by changing the recycling that we do at our own whare. I'm going to leave it at 2 because I think those 2 are pretty important anyway. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
How many is it? 2 or 3? Well, I think the first one is affordability, whether it's housing, public transport, or rates. When you look at it, for young people, what the future looks like in our city, if we don't build more houses, if we don't make sure public transport is affordable and easy and accessible for them. It is also important. Rates is becoming unaffordable for a lot of our communities. Why? The local government funding model is broken, and we need to address those things. The second issue for Wellington City is transparency. We do have a lot of discussions and public excluded meeting, and that erodes trust in the community. When you don't have a trust in the community, you lose legitimacy. When you lose legitimacy, it doesn't matter whatever you do, it's not going to be acceptable in the community. Even when you do something good, you're pissing the community off. The third one is, I think we need to address the infrastructure issue that we have. If we continue investing in Wellington with the current trajectory, it will take more than 600 years to address the water leak. So that is not acceptable. We need to do more. How are we going to do it more is a discussion that we need to address. The three things: affordability, transparency, addressing the infrastructure issue.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. There's a lot to do, actually, so it's really hard to nail it down to three things. But I want to start by saying, you know, right now I feel there's a lack of trust in local body and even central government. So one of my priorities is to start rebuilding that trust with our residents and with our people who are electing us to be in these positions. So for me, it's about rebuilding trust. It's about really good, clear communication. I think a lot of people right now are feeling done to, not done with. So we've got to change the models. We've got to change our thinking. We've got to change the way that we're actually linking and communicating and once again connecting with people. It's also about transparency. That's already been mentioned. So let's put some things on the table. We've got some hard decisions to make. We've got some big costs coming up. Let's not, you know, beat around the bush. But how do we collectively navigate that? And how do we look for different partnerships that might help us, you know, with central government, with us as a region? I would love us to be better connected and absolutely working together, because it's the same resource that we've got and it's our same beautiful people and our place that we want to protect and look after. So it is about transparency. It's also about accountability. You know, we need to be accountable, and that means sharing information and being really open with our plans of what we want to do, but it's step by step. So we think strategically, how do we back map, and then how do we slowly bring our people with us to start navigating those changes for a shared vision to do what we need to do and actually get in there and do the mahi and not talk about it. There's a lot of talk out there, so I think our jobs are to make it happen. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Kia ora, and for the right-hand side?
I just realized that there was a timer for the introduction, and I didn't realize it was 2 minutes, so I cut it real short. But kia ora koutou. And like I wanted to say in my introduction that I am a first-generation immigrant, and when I say that I didn't grow up looking up to people who look like myself, I meant young wahine of colour. And that is the reason why I'm studying this year, because we lack that representation around our council tables. And when we talk about youth representation, a youth council is the bare minimum. And it's a shame that we don't have one in Porirua right now. So youth representation has been one of my top priorities, re-establishing Porirua's youth council, because we talk about youth being misguided or misled, but we really need to address why is that? What's the core issue here? And until and unless we as a city don't create those opportunities for young people, I don't see that becoming a solution anytime soon. So having a youth council again around Porirua City, climate crisis, climate resilience has to be a core principle with every decision that we make, from restoring a harbour in Porirua to investing in climate smart infrastructure and housing. We need to address climate issue. We need to put it in the centre of every big decision we make. And while doing so, we need to make sure that we have mana whenua and rangatahi in those decisions. Porirua is one of the youngest cities in Aotearoa, and it's quite unfair that we don't have that sort of voice in decision-making tables, because we make up a big chunk of our population at the moment. And the hot topic that everyone keeps raving about talking about, right? You said before that we need to address what is the core issue. It's central government cutting out on local government funding and then piling duties and responsibilities on local government. We really do need to address that. So having some sustainable finances, looking at fairer rates and transparent spending where the community knows where the money is going. I think that's the bare minimum that a council should be held accountable for.
Yeah. Kia ora, thank you.
Okay, my opinion is simple. Money, family, and dreams. Why? I think those are three fundamental things to build human lives. Money, 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 money. Every day we're talking about money, but how do we actually making money as a council itself? rather than depending on central government funding, and rather sucking the race out of individuals' pocket, how the council can function as an enterprise itself, because we sit on millions of assets. How do we utilizing them? That's a big question. No one have ever been pointing that direction just now, but as I advised to Karen earlier this afternoon, me and my political advisors actually putting a plan together to helping our council to discuss how to changing Porirua, which is where I'm standing, into a profitable city, rather than just rely on everyday spendings and about our family. Family always coming first, and we need to support our family and do whatever it takes to make their happier future. And also about dreams. Dreams as make human, and not just talking about dreams, about bring the vision from back of your head into reality. And that's how mentality be able to functioning and activate it, bring the changes to the future. Thank you.
And for you?
Kia ora. I think a lot has been mentioned earlier about transparency, which I absolutely agree with. The three top issues that I can condense all of that to is pretty much transport, housing and jobs. And I see, for our young people, not finding enough opportunities that can serve their interests and start them off on a journey, on a career journey here in Wellington that can set them up for the future. There's not many opportunities out there for them. So creating jobs and creating opportunities for young people is super important and quite high on my list. But in order to do that and to create those spaces for young people, we do need affordable housing, making sure that everybody, I feel like it's a basic human right to have decent, dry, warm homes that you can call your home. Being able to even afford to buy your home in the future seems like such a faraway dream for most of us. So creating opportunities to make that easier, but also looking after our transport, making sure we've got good modes of transport for everybody to get around, accessibility for all, and good governance. Good leadership and good governance is much needed here in the city.
Kia ora. You guys all bring some really amazing kōrero to the conversation. And I think if we did any or all of these things, the city would be a better place. Did you guys have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, kia ora. Thank you for sharing kind of your vision for how you want to reshape council with all of us. I know you're all from very different parts of Wellington, but obviously the issues really do coincide, and it's great to hear what you're kind of thinking about the future. Our final question is also about that vision and what you see going forward in Wellington. So we would love to hear one thing you like about Wellington, something that you see as being great for the community, and one thing that you would change about the Wellington or the Porirua or the Lower Hutt of today.
And just to clarify, I'll ring the bell once at 1 minute, and then I'll spam it at 2 minutes onwards.
Do we want it? We'll go back to starting at the side. Yes.
Sorry, so we are saying one thing we love and one thing we want to change?
Yeah.
Awesome. No pressure. One thing I love about Porirua is our diverse communities. And like I said, being the youngest city, our youth, our rangatahi. I love the rangatahi. I'm involved in youth groups myself. And we hear this countless times that young people are the future, but I like to think that young people are the leaders of today, and we really do need those leaders to step in and take accountability young to become a better leader for tomorrow. One thing I want to change is going back to the youth point. We need more youth inclusivity in decisions, because it's only fair that decisions being shaped about our futures right now, it's about us, and we are going to inherit these decisions in the future. So we should be a part of those decisions right now. So I really do want a youth council. I want more young councillors, more progressive councillors, shaping the future of our city. So I would want to change that. We need more young people in these roles.
Kia ora. Thank you.
And what I like about Porirua is being a Porirua's proud. So we got this magnificent event. It's called Love Local Expo. So that's once a year event. We all get together to the arena, and while real people bring their skills, like the homemade soap and homemade kai, and share the stories and share what they had a year of experience. That kind of spirit make Porirua a really vibrant city, I would say. So I would love to carry on that kind of spirit and make Porirua more thrive. Yeah, so one thing I would like to change, it might be some kind of laid-back attitude and in our community, because some people feel like okay, there's very little things we can do, but actually there's a lot of things we can do. People all can offer something, even just a tiny little hours. For example, if you got 1 hour, you can contribute to your community by looking after the elderly neighbor and by bring back off the lemon from your own garden. That simple little gesture, the kindness, can actually touching people's heart and changing the entire mentality. So I think the one thing I'm wanting to change is to really connect it to people by using your sincerely heart-touched way to open the other one's gate. So in that way, the whole community will be acting as one, and we can carry on the Porirua proud and love local and really love local.
Kia ora. For you?
Kia ora. Great question. So what I love about Wellington is the incredible amount of talent that Wellington has, and it's young people and just across different sectors. You've got such talented people, but unfortunately we do lack a lot of opportunities for them. And again, affordability keeps coming up throughout all communities that I speak to. One major thing that I'd love to change is how communities and councils or elected officials and decision makers engage with each other. What I am not a fan of is tokenistic engagement. I've never been a fan of it, and I think it does more harm than good. There's no point in going to a community and taking their ideas and their feedback and seagulling. And sort of a really good friend of mine has mentioned that to me a few times. We don't want to seagull and take your ideas and fly away with them. We actually want you to be engaged. We want to go to those communities that don't normally engage in these spaces. It is also decisions that will be affecting them, and decisions are best shaped by those people who are most affected. So it's really important that we get out of the council chambers, go into the community and be accountable.
Kia ora. Kia ora. Absolutely. Yeah. Whoever's bold enough to grab the mic.
I didn't know if you wanted the same sequence.
No worries at all. Kia ora.
Oh, okay, let's do it.
Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, I just anyway. Great. Yeah. We have such a beautiful region. There is so much to be so proud of here. Our beautiful walks that we've got, our beaches, our seas, and our beautiful diverse city. So our region totally. So for me, I'll speak about the Hutt now, but that's all there. And I know it's our region though. So once again, I just think we're in a beautiful spot, and we've got to harness that. We've got to harness our people. We've got to harness our place and do everything we can to protect it, because we've got some big issues coming up that have already been sort of alluded to. What can we change? I go back to, once again, hearing those diverse voices and working in partnership, and it's already been mentioned, but how are we working more collaboratively in a real and meaningful way? Local body with central government. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, on the internet and even in the news, the way people are speaking together or to each other actually, and I just find that appalling. We are leaders, and we need to be leading by example about how we would like people to be treated and how we should be treating each other. So for me, it's about a culture of support. It's about actually respect, and it's about how we move forward together and making good decisions in a really positive way by that real meaningful engagement, and that's going to make a difference. So thanks.
Well, for me, as a father of 3 children, I really appreciate the community facilities that we have around, the swimming pools, the sport fields, and even when you go everywhere, you can have access to toilets everywhere you go. So those are small things that you think it's really something that we should be protecting. It's a big thing when you travel around the world in many areas. So I do appreciate, that's something that I love. One thing that I would change is Wellington is becoming really unaffordable. I met a lady recently in Island Bay. She was comparing 10 years ago and now how much she pay on rates, example. increased 147%. Her income decreased more than half because she's retired now. So for students, I have a kid, I told you, and not long ago, when public transport was half price, it was pretty easy. The kids, they don't even realize it. But now they know, oh, Baba, I finished my $20, can you top up? For me, it's easy because I'm in a very privileged position, but I still have a lot of community members who still drive taxi, do cleaning. It's becoming unaffordable. If we can do anything to make it easy for our community. This is only public transport, let alone housing, and the rest of it just will continue. Those are the kind of things I would love to change.
I live in Porirua. I call Porirua the kaleidoscope city. It's the vibrancy and diversity of experiences, of identities, of languages that makes our city what it is. In fact, more people connect to a part of the world that isn't necessarily Porirua when you go back one generation. And so when central government or local government isn't there, our communities turn towards each other to help solve. I remember seeing this during COVID in terms of being in the Porirua East and knocking on doors, helping people to make sure that they could get vaccinated. It was our communities that led that effort. Yes, central government has a role to play, they have a big role to play, but really it's our communities that do that. It then leads into what I think is the biggest thing we need to change. And that is, if you go into the council chamber, it's not just, there is a very diverse range of people compared to most councils across the country. But it's still very much a structure that is set in the rules of the 19th and 20th century. It's not just about electing more voices around the table, because the will of the voters can change from election to election. And it's more than just establishing committees that may, as has been referenced before, could be used to poach and take advantage of those very communities. If you want one specific thing to do, is to take the example of the civic assemblies that were used in the climate assembly out in Porirua and invert the entire process of the long-term plan and the annual plans, and start with the proposition that the community will put up the topics of debate and not wait for those who are elected to sign off on ones that have been previously scouted by staff. You then can start that journey of showing how their voices will lead through to the decisions that then ultimately get made on their behalf. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora. You each covered some serious ground in 2 minutes, and we'd love to keep chatting about all of those things because you all bring up some really important points, and we can see why you love your city and how you want to continue to support your city. And there's so many things that we'd love to keep chatting about. Is there anything you would like to say?
No, I think it's just amazing to hear all the vision you guys have for the future, especially obviously loving some of the talk about youth and the future of tomorrow. I think it's great to see that there's a good balance about fixing the issues we have today and then looking forward to how we're going to progress into the future.
Beautiful timing, guys. Keep it up. That was gorgeous.
All right, and we can move on to our second phase of the conversation now, which this concludes the roundtable right here, and we'll move to our other roundtable, which is a speed dating deep dive on some other different topics. For our viewers abroad, we're just going to quickly explain the hot seat rules. So we've got 2 minutes per deep dive. And each guest will be able to speak to a topic on the wheel, and we'll just quickly rearrange some of the settings so that everyone can be seen during that process. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind keeping your answers pretty quick and snappy as well, that'll be awesome. So we'll just take 2 minutes to reorientate the stage, and then we'll be back to it. All right, kia ora, welcome back to our Wheel of Kōrero. We have a myriad of different topics here, from te tiriti to Māori wards to climate to youth to multiculturalism to public transport. So we'll spin the wheel if you'd like. Excellent. Housing. Totally different question. What are your housing priorities?
So far, we need to build more houses. Also, we have what we call it Hub 2, which is investing in the housing we currently have and making them fit for purpose and warm and livable for our community. And as I told you, I represent the Southern Ward Paekawakawa. Currently, we have a community members who sleep on the road in Newtown area. Homelessness is becoming a real issue in Wellington, let alone the whole country as well, actually.
Increasingly, as things get more and more expensive.
Well, of course, and a lot of people also losing job, and the central government's policy also making for people very difficult to have access to it. And so that is something that we need to address. There are some people who might be saying during this election time, oh, it's not a council job to own a house, give it back to the central government. The current government clearly say they don't want to have it. Even if they say they want to have it, I don't think so. We trust them. I don't personally trust them. From what I hear in the community as well, it's not something that we trust them. So we need to make sure housing can be affordable and that's also accessible for all our communities.
I think that's a great answer. We need more housing. We need more accessible housing. I wonder, would you want to speak to how we live alongside lots of different cultures as we build housing? Like, do we just build lots of stacks and then leave everyone to it, or do we help anyone or give them any resources to live alongside each other and be good neighbours?
Well, I think we already have a good example. Newtown again, one of the most diverse place in the country, if not in the city, and we live along each other. We love whether you live in the street for different reasons or whether you are from ethnic background, refugee background, and newcomers, or Manawhenua, or the white people who came a while ago. So we all live in a very respectful way, and that is a good example. But that doesn't mean we are perfect. That is what we need to make sure we can support each other. We're not asking, especially in Newtown, to be Ponsonby Bay, but we want to be a bit tidying up what we're doing.
These are some great answers, and I'd love to keep chatting, but that's all the time we've got now. All right, and we're back with Karen. Kia ora, Karen. Would you like to spin the wheel of kōrero? Māori wards. Would you like to speak to Māori wards?
Well, yes, 100%.
It's a big year for Māori wards. It's on the referendum, on the election. What are your thoughts on Māori wards?
It is so important. So for me, as a Hutt City Councillor, I actually went to Parliament and put in a submission and actually wanted to represent rangatahi, actually, and spoke for the voices, because I spoke to so many young people and they said, we just have to fight for this, and it's so, so critically important. Plus, for me, I've been in education for 30 years. I've been a principal of Taita College for 7 years. Māori, I had 50% Māori in the school. So critical to have that and to be led by Te Tiriti o Waitangi and the principals. And I think that's driven me in everything that I've done. As a leader, I went about 11 years ago to Te Wananga o Raukawa in Otaki and did a full te reo immersion program for a year, because as a leader, I want to lead with conviction. I want to hear the voices, and Te Ao Māori is a beautiful world that we should be embracing and living and should be part of our kaupapa every day. So Māori wards, this is just a start, I believe, of where we can go in our future, and it's so wonderful to have them at the table. Should there be a referendum? No, there should not be, but there is. So everyone, please get out there, vote. Let's smash this referendum. Let's get it over the line, and then let's see what the next step and next phase can do, because we've got to be there together at the table. So really important to me.
I fully agree that Māori wards are a way to build in Māori inclusion in governance and include that interface between iwi and local government, and to bridge those decision-making frameworks, to acknowledge te tiriti. We need to do all of these things. I think Te Ao Māori does a lot to extend all of the toolkits that we have, the values that we can operate with, the solutions we can reach for. There's so many reasons why we should look to Te Ao Māori. I think Māori wards are a great way to facilitate that.
Absolutely.
Kia ora. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone who's next?
Hello, Afnan. I'm so excited to have you here on this hot seat. Are you ready to spin the wheel of topics?
Absolutely.
Okay, we have got climate.
Fabulous.
Okay, so we are obviously living in a time where climate is a very big issue. Would you invest in green infrastructures like urban trees, community gardens, and stormwater systems? And are there other ways you think we can get green infrastructure in our community?
100%. You know what? Climate is so super important, and not just for young people. I think a lot of my generation, and perhaps older, need to get more involved in this space as well. Climate is super important for young people to grow in a world that serves them best. You are the leaders of tomorrow, and we want to look after our climate and opportunities for you as well. So one of the Labour policies that I'll be focused on if elected is creating opportunities such as a Green Jobs Initiative. And what that will mean is it will create opportunities for young people to have jobs and to get into the job market while we look after our climate at the same time. So making sure that we do look after our environment in the best ways that we know how, to create more opportunities, to kaitiaki, the world that we live in now. I feel like we've got such a huge responsibility that we need to exercise here.
Are there any other feasible ways you can see that council could focus more of their efforts when they're doing projects they're already doing, keeping climate in mind in terms of building or other financial goals?
100%, yeah. So, for example, the Green Jobs initiative that we would like to exercise and implement is looking at house installations and solar installations as well, and making sure that we are, preparing for tomorrow, so that we're not, disadvantaged if we are hit with a sort of climate change disasters or anything like that, so that we are prepared for the future. But we're also creating opportunities and seizing the day, per se, as we can. Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you think of climate in terms of this future far-off problem, how do you think, what are some of the things, the concerns you have with how maybe the current council is doing things that you would change, as well as the Green Jobs Act? Is there things you think you could shift?
There's many things that we can shift. For example, looking after our waste management systems and making sure that we are not building another landfill or expanding that, but making sure that we are encouraging people and resourcing them well enough to recycle and compost. And how can we make that easier for communities? But how can we encourage and incentivize communities as well? But I think there's an opportunity in every different area and aspect that we can do in council to look after climate and have that front of mind, in any space.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and now we have Geoff in our hot seat. Would you like to spin the wheel?
All right, good. Wish me luck.
Good luck. And we have youth as our topic. How would you advocate for more accessible mental health services targeted towards young people?
Good, Pātai, thank you. One of the things that I remember when I first moved to Porirua was around the unfortunate situation with young people in our schools taking their own lives. It's a regrettable situation for anyone, but for young people, it's even more challenging. There are organisations who are already out there which I think council need to integrate themselves with. One of those is Challenge 2000, who have a strong presence in trying to build up mental resilience. Recently, I've been involved in groups like Te Ara Moana, which actually uses a kaupapa Māori approach to building people's confidence, young people's confidence on the water. So it's actually one of those opportunities where you don't just feel comfortable on the water, you feel comfortable being yourself while being on the water as well.
And what do you think are some barriers for young people accessing mental health support?
Part of it, I think, is just the general stigma of people feeling uncomfortable to seek help. And that's part of a broader culture that makes it even more difficult. We need to be seen as people who can show that it's okay to reach out and seek help. One of the things I did in my first term was to wear the 1737 badge, which is a very nationwide network where people can actually just contact them free of charge. And it's for those people who have mental distress to be able to talk to another person who will listen. And that's important.
Kia ora, Geoff. And final question, what other priorities do you have for young people?
So it has been mentioned before that the Climate Assembly in Porirua has talked about wanting to have youth representation. And while I'm very careful about this, because I'm probably about the age of most rangatahi's parents, so you don't want people like me dictating what those terms are, for fear that what you're going to do is basically remove the empowerment of that structure. But one of the other parts of this as well is that the Assembly gives us an opportunity to learn how to engage with our communities as well. We are already doing some good mahi with regards to video submissions, which I think is really important. And also, as well, don't forget the role of schools in this process as well.
Absolutely, those were some beautiful answers. Thank you, Geoff.
No worries.
And now we have Aditi in the hot seat. Would you like to spin our wheel? Māori wards. Let's see. Do you support the establishment and long-term protection of a Māori ward on the council?
I wanted to say yes even before you began the question. Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about why?
Yes. I think it's utterly disgraceful that we even have a referendum around Māori wards this year. You live on Māori land. You live amongst Māori people. You should be, if anything, you should be grateful that you get to call this land your home. When you live on an indigenous land and you disrespect its people, it just shows your privilege, and it shows how deeply concerning a big chunk of our government and this country is, that we are progressing backwards. And I think it's very, very concerning that we even have this referendum to begin with this year. All these past few months, we have had candidate meetings where we talk about if we should keep Māori wards or not. And oftentimes, we only hear from one or two people in the room who oppose it. And their argument is that everyone on the council table should be there on their own merit. I disagree and strongly oppose that statement, because when you talk about merit, it's all the people in that room, they're there because of their merit. When you talk about representation, there is a very fine line between equality and equity. And so many people don't understand that. And majority of the chunk of the people in our government right now, I think they need to go back to school and they need to study better and understand what is the difference between equality and equity. And once you do understand that, that's when you'll realize that being at the same table, being in the room of candidates full of, from your general ward to your mayor to your Māori ward councillor, that is what is merit. You're all there because you have the merit to be there. You're competent enough to be there. When it comes to representation, when you've grown up in a place of privilege and others don't, you need to create those opportunities to get to that table.
And as an elected official, how would you make sure that you are upholding the principles of Te Tiriti o Waitangi?
Firstly, there is no question that like we say, there are topics that you can agree to disagree, but when it comes to Te Tiriti o Waitangi, I don't think that's up for question. We need to keep Te Tiriti in the center of every decision we make going forward. And Māori wards, having a Māori wards is just a basic. It's literally the bare minimum we can do at this as a society.
Amazing.
And once we do have the manu whenua on our council table, you see that across the entire country.
Those are some beautiful answers. Thank you so much.
All right, kia ora e hoa koutou. This brings us to the end of the political panel today. Thank you so much to all of our guests for their kōrero and for running in the election and for making our city better. We strongly encourage everyone to vote. Any of these candidates will be worthy of your vote. So go out and support the city. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
Tautoko what you said, Oscar. Go out and vote. But we had some real strong candidates today with some really cool priorities for their city and for young people and for a lot of different communities. So yeah, make sure to get your vote in.
Completely agree with everything that's been said. Exercising your right to be a part of the democracy is such an important thing to be a part of. So if you have any confusions about how to vote, make sure you search it up. Go to our Electoral Commission website, figure out how to do it. Make sure you have your voting papers. Make sure you're voting not only for your local councillors, but for the mayor and for the Māori wards referendum that we've heard mentioned today. And make sure that you are fully informed on everything. And yeah, we're so excited to see the decisions that everyone makes, and it's been amazing to hear from everyone today. Ka kite.
Ka kite.